What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, what's up? My name is Victoria Desiree. If you're not new to my channel, thank you for coming back to my channel. And if you are new, hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell so that every time I post, you won't miss the notification and you can watch and join the family and join all of the fun. I'm just gonna kind of dive right in, as you can see by the title, what the video is. I'm really nervous to make this video, but in the same hand, like, I don't care and I'm ready to just get it out and talk about it. I hope everyone had a happy new year, happy holidays, so whatever it may be that you celebrate. And if you don't celebrate, I hope you just had a couple of good weeks. Disclaimers before I just like jump right into this video. I'm not speaking for anyone else but myself. I'm not speaking for the other person, including in this relationship. I'm going to be speaking on my personal experiences, my traumas, my depression, my anxiety, my PTSD, my whatever the situation may be, everything dealing with myself. I took so long to actually really even do this video because I know how the internet is and I know how conniving people are. I know how people can take someone's words and misconstrue them and say, oh, she said this, but I know she meant this, or she said this with a little bit of tone, so she probably meant this, or she trying to be shady. Like, and to be honest, if you have anything negative to say out of this whole thing, like, please reevaluate yourself and do you some growth, do you some healing, and get you some business. That's what you could do. If you know who it is, great. If you don't, even better. Also, I'm going to be doing this video in 2 different parts. I'm gonna do the first part, which is like how I knew it was toxic, when it became toxic, how it started. The second part of the video is going to be how I left, and you know, how I dealt with it, and how I was toxic and whatever. Do y'all like my cup? Say the sanders and sisters. Another thing is I'm going to be including like little screenshots so that you guys know that I'm not lying. Not that I have anything to prove, but because I kind of just want to show you guys the kind of things that I did go through and, you know, toxic behaviors and stuff like that. If you don't want to hear anything like that, if you're here to only watch the negative, if you're here to feel like you're about to get some huge tea out of it, then you're here for the wrong reason. I'm here strictly just to tell my side of the story and so that everyone can kind of shut the up about this situation. All of my social media will be down below, so if you have any questions or need any help or any advice, or if there's any part of this story that stuck out to you that you have questions about or that you're going through that you need advice on, then feel free to message me. I'm always going to be available for that, and I want to help anyone in any way that I possibly can. But a little tip on a toxic relationship, in my opinion, I feel like the best way to describe it is when it's good, it's great. You feel like you're on a high, and then when it's bad, you feel like it is horrible. When you start thinking in the most negative ways, you want to react in the most negative ways, you want to harm yourself, harm other people, any of that, I have to get out of it. It's like not even worth it. Of course, every relationship has fights, so don't think that because you guys are arguing that it is a toxic relationship, because I feel like a lot of times people take the word toxic and they don't know how to use it. Another thing is toxic relationships, for some people, they idolize it. Some people think that it's cool, some people think that it's cute to be negative and toxic, and it's not. It's actually really gross and disgusting. This relationship also made me feel really crazy, so I acted in crazy ways. And it's not to say like this person is just a horrible, terrible person, but for me and to me, it just was not it. To start this relationship, and I'm going to discuss about the messing with blank while they were in a relationship. So I'm not sure if they meant the relationship that they're in now, or that they were just in, or whatever the situation may be. My ex did reach out to me on many different occasions, and it was not pertaining to anything relevant to my relationship or her relationship. And I messaged her regarding a business thing. She turned the conversation around to asking about a dog that we had together, or that she got me, that is my dog, that she really didn't even care about during the whole relationship. She has messaged me on different occasions, so I'm not sure if that's what it is, but so I'm just gonna explain kind of how we met and everything like that, because the start of our relationship did start off very toxic. So we met when I was working at a store. She ended up coming in one day and she was like, hey, I'm blah blah blah, I'm here because I'm doing the assistant managing or whatever her position was. She came in, whatever. At the time, I was getting out of a relationship and she was getting out of a relationship. But when she first came to work, you know, we kind of had like a little crew thing. I didn't really talk to her. She kind of hung out at the front of the store by the door. So we didn't really talk much. Come to find out, I followed her. I knew she looked familiar. I just didn't know how I knew her. I didn't know if I went to school with her. I didn't know like if I had seen her in passing. I didn't know what the situation was. But I knew that I had seen her somewhere. It was late one night, like a couple days after she started, and I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw her pop up and I was like, what the hell? This is this girl. So I go to work the next day, and because I was talking to one of the managers and I was like, I know her from somewhere. I don't know how I know her, but I know her from somewhere. I don't know. So we were talking or whatever, and he was like, did you ever find out how you knew her? And I was like, yeah, I follow her on Instagram. He was like, for real? And I was like, yeah, she has quite a few followers. So he was like, let me see. So I show him, and he goes and tells her, and was like, yeah, I guess she's like this big, like made it seem like I was like, oh my God, over this girl. But I'm not like that over nobody except Drake. And if you know, you know. He's my baby daddy. So after that, we kind of started talking or whatever, and I was like, yeah, girl, follow me back. We weren't saying it in any flirtatious way. She was not flirting with me. I was not flirting with her. I was like, yeah, follow me back. And if you know me, you know I'm very like out there, and I'm very like, you know, like, girl, don't play with me. Like, you know, I play around a lot. That's just me. She was like, I will. She said, you can follow yourself on Twitter too. So I was like, okay. So when I follow myself on Twitter, that was that. Cool. And at this time, she had removed all of her photos of her girlfriend at the time. You know, I thought she was a single person. And mind you, I had never even seen a picture of her and this girl together. I go on to Twitter, you know, and somebody mentions something sexual. And I commented back to it and said, it's never happened for me. She sends me the tweet and she was like, oh, it hasn't. And I was like, oh, well, no. She was like, let me change that, whatever. The next day I ended up going to work, and it was kind of awkward, but not really, because I'm not an awkward person. So I didn't bring it up. I didn't mention it at all. You know, it is what it is. It was what it was. I was a little flirtatious, whatever. Mind you, I'm getting out of a relationship with who I'm currently in a relationship with. So she starts telling me that her and her ex aren't together, and it's like a month or two goes by, and we started like hanging out. You know, we started like going to, one of my managers had a baseball game, and so we went to the baseball game, but you ended up having to pay to get in, and it was like $15 or something crazy. So we were like, not paying to get in there, like I don't love him that much. Plus we were already a little late because we closed, so it was gonna be over in like maybe 30 minutes or so. So we just hung outside, we chilled, and her ex called her. She was like telling me all these lies, how she would go out of town and she would cheat on her, and it was just like making her seem like this terrible person, like made her ex seem like a literal monster, like the devil. And I didn't know the girl personally, so I could never like speak on what kind of person she is. I'm not the type of person to 100% believe everything everyone's saying. Like I was like, oh, she must be this terrible ass person and blah blah blah. Anyway, so we hung out one day, and her ex kept calling her, and I'm like, pick up the phone, like, why are you not answering? If she knows we're hanging out, you know, she knows it's nothing like that, like it's genuinely nothing like that. She was like, nah, she's mad because I don't want to be with her, or she wants me to come get my stuff, or it was something along the lines of them not doing good. Okay, ended up leaving the baseball game, whatever. Couple days later, we ended up hanging out, rode with her from work. She was like, hey, you want to hang out? You know, I want to take you to this place, blah blah, this and that, we could just chill, whatever. And at this time, she would like confide in me about stuff. I would confide in her about stuff. The shit that she confided in me about, I don't even think was ever really true, but the stuff that I did confide in her about was 100% what was going on. I was not really sleeping with my ex and lying about it. I wasn't living with my ex and lying about it. Like, no, I was genuinely trying to cut my ex off, stop talking to her slowly but surely. I moved out, blocked my ex, all of that. Like, I really and truly was not trying to do any of that shit. It was like maybe a week or so later, we ended up hanging out, and it was nighttime, but still nothing was going on. She was like, hey, you know, do you want to go to a park or whatever? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. We're there, and her ex isn't calling her at this point. She's not texting her, not calling her unless she had her on do not disturb. I don't know, but it's late at night. So in my mind, I'm like, damn, it is late at night. Like, this girl's doing whatever she wants. Maybe they're really not together. We end up hanging out, and cops pull up because it was like a trespassing thing or whatever, and they were really just taking our names just to note that they had told us already, just in case if we went back later that night, then it would be trespassing, because we didn't know there was no signs, and the signs that were up were like really ducked off and in a dark area, so we didn't see it. Next thing you know, a couple cops pull up, and I'm like, I'm about to go to jail, and I'm thinking it's me finna go to jail, right? And I'm like, got warrants. Next thing you know, like, can you put your hands behind your back, you know, blah blah blah, this and that. She ends up going to jail, and she's like, call my mom. She ends up telling me the wrong number. So I'm calling a random person, and I call them multiple times. They're like, hey, are you good? I don't know who this is, but is everything okay? And I was like, no, it's the wrong person. So I ended up having to scroll on social media, find some of her family members, found her sister. Sister told her mom. I got on the phone with them, told them. Next thing you know, her girlfriend's calling me. I'm like, what? This girl's like, you're my girlfriend, blah, 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 this and that. You know, it's a whole bunch of drama, which as the girl should be mad. You know, I'm not mad at her for being mad, because be mad too. And she ended up logging into the girl's Twitter, seeing all of our messages. At this point, we were flirting pretty heavy. I end up finding out that they're still messing around. Next day, I end up going to work, and I'm telling her, like, don't talk to me, you know, you're a liar, blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, let me explain, whatever. I don't know why in my mind I forgave her and we ended up talking or whatever, but her and her ex ends up breaking up. She ends up going to live with her mom, and at that point, that's whenever I started talking to her. Whenever I saw she was actually at her mom's and stuff, I started like trying to hear her out, you know me. And I'm just a very forgiving person. I'm a very understanding person. So I don't know why I believed whatever it was that she told me. I was like manipulated or whatever. That's my fault for being a young, dumb 21-year-old. We ended up getting into a relationship, and from there, it was just like a lot of drama with her ex, as it, you know, to be expected would be. First of all, we were all young, so I understand why her ex was mad, and if I could apologize for everything, I would. You know, I've grown. I'm in a different place now, so I know that none of that is cute. None of that is cool. That's just not who I am, and I was never on no hateful like that. So we ended up getting into a relationship, and our relationship was relatively good. It started off where, of course, she wouldn't mind me touching her phone, and it wasn't like I was going through it. It was just like, hey, can I see your phone real quick? And I would go play a song, or she'd be playing music. She'd be like, here, play whatever you want to play, you know, kind of stuff like that. So our relationship started off great. I mean, we never argued. About maybe a little over a year, and we were in our first apartment together, and after, it was like a month after we moved in, it was my birthday. We moved in May, and my birthday is June 10th. So on my birthday, she threw like a little surprise party for me. And when we got back to the house, she proposed to me. And when I tell y'all, this girl, if I had the video, I would play it, because thinking about it now, it's like, and I said yes. For one, the ring was fake. My finger turned green the first 30 minutes. So anyway, she gets on one knee. First of all, she sets up the camera. Let's just say that. She sets up the camera and she gets down on one knee. And she just holds the ring. And I'm like, and she's like, and
the woman was too stunned to speak.
Like, it was just quiet. And I was like, and she was like, so? And I was like, so what? And she was like, will you marry me? And I was like, yeah. And I don't know why I said yes, because she didn't even ask me. She was like, so? And I was like, so what? I said yes. And after that, it was probably like maybe a week later, it was Pride. And that morning we woke up and she was like, I had a crazy dream. My ex messaged me. I already felt bad because of how they ended, and I kind of always felt guilty for that, and I always wanted to like reach out to the ex, but I never did, just because like I wanted her to know like my intentions were never like ill. My intentions were never to like break up a happy home. If they were happy, my intentions were never for the outcome to be what it was. I genuinely did not know that they were in a relationship, you know, and I felt bad for everything. And still to this day, I feel bad that I did that to someone, because I know how it felt. Her ex, come to find out, really did message her. And so she showed me the message, and the ex was like, hey, you know, like, I need closure. Hey, you know, I'm nobody to say no. Like, if you feel like you need to talk to her to give her closure so that she's okay mentally and physically and emotionally, like, I don't want her to be depressed and upset and sad, and like, because I have depression and I've had suicidal thoughts plenty of times, and I'm not saying that that would be the outcome, but you know, I know how it feels to have very, very bad depression and anxiety and stuff, and I just didn't ever want to be the cause of that for someone. So I was like, reach out to her, you know, tell her, yeah, y'all can talk or whatever. And I said, but I do want to be around. I don't have to listen to the conversation, to the whole conversation or anything, but I do want to be around, whether you text her, call her, what. I end up needing a curling iron from Walmart. Literally, like, you leave out of my apartment and you go right there, there's a light, and Walmart's right there. So it was like not even a 5-minute drive. What should have been probably like a 20 to 30 minute max trip, she was gone for about an hour to an hour and a half. After we got dressed and stuff, I ended up telling her, like, I don't know what made me think about it, but I was like, so do you want to talk to your ex or whatever, you know, like, when do you feel like you want to do it? And she said, oh, I already did. And I already did. And I was like, come again, say what? And I was like, when? She said, when I went to the store. I said, so that's why you were gone so long. So it started like our first actual real argument. And I don't know if she has like a time span of being with someone for like a year before she starts or before she starts wanting to do stuff like this, but she ends up telling me, you know, like, hey, you know, I talked to her, whatever. She was like, it was nothing like that. You know, she just wanted to know why I did it. I wanted to tell her, you know, my intentions were never to hurt her. We never wanted to hurt her, blah, blah, this and that, whatever. Bunch of couple days later, her ex ends up popping up and saying like how that's not how the conversation was, how my ex was saying how she missed her and how she's sorry that she did any of that, and just like a bunch of so I didn't really know what to believe. I end up asking her about it. We argue about it. She ends up crying, and she goes downstairs to our pool. And after being down there for like maybe an hour or two, she calls me down and she's like, can we talk, you know, whatever. I was like, yeah, sure, I'm on my way. I go downstairs and she's bawling, and I'm like, what's going on? Are you okay? What happened? And she was like, I just feel like I never had a chance to get over my ex. I feel like I'm just kind of rushing everything, and I don't know what I want to do, and I don't want to work here for the rest of my life, and I'm blah blah blah, a bunch of like excuses. And me being me, I'm like, hey, who am I to stop you from doing whatever it is that you want to do in your life? So I'm like, okay, I understand. What is it that you need? And she was like, I don't know, I feel like we should just kind of separate and worry about our own thing, whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, we have this apartment together for 6 months. Like, 6 months ain't shit. After that, you can go wherever you go, I'm gonna go wherever I go. We can just kind of work, kind of coexist. You work on you, I work on me, and whatever. Cool with that. She was like, I appreciate you so much. You don't understand how much I appreciate you. And I'm like, yeah, sure, cool. After that, she wanted to go out to eat, and I'm like, okay, where do you want to go eat? She was like, let's go to Cheddar's. So we go to Cheddar's. We're sitting in the parking lot. We're waiting for our table to be ready. And she starts getting calls, and she gets like 2 or 3 back to back. And the first time that it rang, she hurried up and hung it up. The second time that it rang for a little bit, and then she hung up again. And I was like, so I didn't really ask her who it was because we just broke up. So I'm trying to play it cool. I'm trying to contain myself. I didn't really ask nothing about it. And then the third time that it popped up, I looked at the last 4 numbers and I remembered it. Just because I had a feeling, and when you have a feeling, don't forget that feeling, okay? Don't ignore it. Don't go by it, none of that. So we go inside and we go sit down, and I look at my phone because, mind you, I had her ex's number in my phone because we had talked on the phone the day that she went to jail, or whenever she was in jail. We ended up texting or whatever. So I just, out of habit, saved her number in my phone. So the last 4 numbers that popped up on the screen are the last 4 numbers that was her ex's number. So I was like, so who was it that called you again? And she said, oh, it was one of my friends. She moved out of town, we went to school together, and I was like, oh, why didn't you answer it? And she was like, because blah blah blah, whatever bullshit ass excuse she gave. So then I was like, oh, let me see the number real quick. And she was like, what? Why? And I said, let me see, because I think she called you like 7 times. She was like, it wasn't no 7 times. It was like 3. But I knew that. I just wanted to see if she would show me. So she was like, and I deleted the call out of my call log. I said, why? She said, because I don't really talk to her. So I was like, at this point, she's trying to hug me, kiss me, reach over the table, grab me and stuff. And I'm like, no, stop. You know, we're not together. We're just eating as 2 civil people. We're not doing any of this relationship stuff. We broke up. You want to find you, I'm gonna find me. We're gonna do whatever. She was like, really, you're gonna do me like that? We get back to the house and I tell her, like, I can go lay in the other room. I can lay on the couch. We can lay on opposite sides of the bed if it bothers you, whatever. I want you to have your space, be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. So she was like, no, I can't do this. I don't want to be without you. We can be together. We can work on this together. We can do this, whatever. And I'm like, huh? Like, what? So I was like, okay, are you sure? We get back together. A couple weeks later, she was getting ready for work one day and her phone was vibrating, but there was no notifications popping up. And mind you, before that, all of her notifications was coming up. So she's in the bathroom brushing her teeth, brushing her hair, whatever the hell she's doing in there. I grab her phone and I open it and I look, and it's an Instagram DM. So I'm looking through her DMs, and I see her ex's name is like the top one up there. So I click the name, and it's like a bunch of flirting, like, come cook for me, come see me at work, just a bunch of flirtatious stuff, sliding up on messages that she put, just a bunch of back and forth conversation. And at this point, my heart is in my ass. If you know, I'm looking, and she comes out, and the first thing she says is, why are you on my phone? Not, I'm sorry, nothing like that. Why are you on my phone? So I was like, you know what? It's cool. I broke her phone because she kept saying, give me my phone, give me my phone. Take her phone, unplug it. And in our bathroom, we have tile floor. So I pick her phone up and I chunk it as hard as I can. And it bounces off the floor to the bathtub, back to the floor because I threw it so hard. Like, literally all of my strength. Her phone completely shattered. Front screen broke. Hanging out, back screen or back of her phone broke. Like, her phone is destroyed. And so that she can't call anyone from her phone or from my phone, guess what I do? I threw my phone too. Okay, just so that y'all know, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because that's literally the dumbest thing I could have done. Like, okay, girl, you broke your phone. Like, what? My phone was completely broke. She was like, man, come on, gotta go to work, whatever. Because we went a whole night without both of our phones. The next morning, I was looking up places to fix phones. So I got my phone fixed, whatever. She's sitting there without a phone. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna go. So I left her there with no phone. And I don't know if she got it fixed that day or what. But yeah. We get back good. Why? I don't know. She does some apologizing. She was like, I'll block her on everything. I'm so sorry. Blah, 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 this and that, whatever. I forgive her like a dummy. At this point, my anxiety starts to get bad. And after that, it was just a bunch of little incidences where, like, she would bring her up or I would bring her up or I'd be like, are you still talking to her? Like, not insecure shit, but just like, you're curious, you want to know, you always have a feeling like that they're cheating or doing something. At that point is when I should have left. I actually should have left the first time, but I didn't. And at that point, when you start having to question them all the time, your relationship is never going to be the same, especially when cheating comes into play. It's just not going to be the same. It's just better to leave that situation than to stay in it. And I firmly believe and stand on, no one that is made for you is going to have to hurt you a million times in order to see your worth, or even hurt you one time to see your worth. You'll get hurt in different ways being in a relationship. But cheating is not one of the ways. Cheating is not part of the highs and the lows. Like, a couple months passed by and I ended up getting a message. I'm cooking. I still remember, like yesterday, I was making nachos and I go sit down and she's about to get in the shower and I look at my phone and I get a video from a fake Instagram account, and it's a video of her and her ex. Now, the phone is down here. My ex is recording. Her ex is behind her and she's like singing a song, and then she kisses my ex on her cheek. And my ex is like posing and everything. When I I didn't show it to her. I looked at it and I dropped my phone. It was still on the video. Dropped the phone on the bed, and I get up and I start packing my stuff. And she immediately was like, no, you're not leaving, you're not going anywhere, blah blah, this and that. What happened? What did you see? And I was like, go look at the bed. So I was like, I am leaving. And I said it just calm. I said it calm like that. I said, I'm leaving. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around you. I need to leave. Please get off of me. Get away from me. She was like, this was from a long time ago. I said, how was it from a long time ago? Your hair is cut. Your hair is cut in the video. We just cut your hair a couple weeks ago. Like, you had dreads before that. I see that video. I just start getting these feelings like she's doing something to me. Like, she's doing something. I can feel it. I just know that she is. So after that, she ends up saying, like, you know, I'm sorry. Like, we only linked up so that she could, like, tell me how she was feeling. I wanted to talk to her. I was going through my own shit. Like, we needed closure. And I'm like thinking, well, y'all got on the phone for closure. And she was like, yeah, but there was still stuff we didn't talk about. Like, she wanted to be able to really, with a clear head, talk to me, whatever bullshit. At the time, I would go sit up there at her job with her. Sometimes during her whole entire shift. Sometimes I would come mid-shift and sit for the rest of the day. Sometimes I would come opening till the next person comes in. But around this time, I wasn't sitting up there with her. And so I would see, I seen her ex leave one time, and like, I didn't have my glasses on. So if you know me, you know I'm blind. So I didn't have my glasses on, but I kind of could tell that it was her. But by the time I put my glasses on, she was nowhere to be found. But I know she saw me, and we kind of like mutually saw each other. But I know she didn't owe me anything. She didn't owe me no explanation. She didn't owe me, like, you know, nothing. So, because I mean, what did I just do to her? What, you know, whatever. So at this point, it was just kind of like a back and forth kind of thing. So I went into the job. I started cussing her out. I started cussing out her workers, because her workers are all smiling in my face, which I know they don't owe me anything either. But, you know, in the heat of the moment, you're just so mad. I was like, give me your phone. I was like, why was blah 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 up here? She was like, nah, I just told her to leave. I told her to get her out of here, whatever. And I'm like, and everybody was like, yeah, it's true. She told her to leave. She told her to leave. And I'm like, come to find out, she was bringing her food, and it was just a bunch of stuff. It was just really a bunch of back and forth stuff with her ex throughout our entire relationship. And it came to a point to where, like, I just couldn't do that. Like, I didn't want to do that. There were times where we would argue, and I would go downstairs, because we had like this little clubhouse thing, and I would go downstairs and I would be in the bathroom for hours, and she would not come and check on me or look for me or anything, or ask me where I am, call me, nothing. There would be times where I slept on the porch, because we lived on the 3rd floor, so you would walk all the way up to the 3rd floor, and then it was one apartment here, one apartment here. When you turn to this apartment, there was a door, but when you open that door, it's a patio, and then the door to get into the apartment. So right there on the patio, there was a little outlet. I laid out there on a pallet before. She let me lay out there like nothing, and got up for work. As she was leaving for work, she was like, you can go inside now. I went inside, went to sleep, whatever. Like, it was just a bunch. But there was one time specifically where I was sick. Where I was so sick that I was like throwing up. I was not eating for weeks at a time. I was completely like not even myself. It was just really a lot of things, not even just her. But after that situation, my anxiety had gotten really bad to where, like, you know, I didn't want that to keep happening. I didn't want to keep going through it. So my anxiety would be terrible. My depression got really bad. I started questioning myself, like my worth and stuff. I was genuinely not happy with myself. I didn't like taking pictures, you know, I didn't like doing nothing. And so I laid there and I didn't feel good. Well, one morning I was so sick. I hadn't eaten, hadn't drinking anything. I was just literally going from the shower to the bed, 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 with no clothes on, just a towel, like laying in the bed with the fan on me, just feeling just terrible. She got up and she was like, hey, I'm gonna go to the mall, I'm gonna go return this stuff, and then I'll be back. So she ends up leaving from like 11 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. We were texting like nothing. She did not once mention that her phone was dying. Her phone ends up dying. She went MIA. She didn't call me from her friend's phone. She didn't call me from anyone's phone. She knows my number. She didn't stop at a gas station. She didn't stop by the house that we lived maybe 10 minutes up the road from the mall. She came back at 11 o'clock at night with food and didn't ask me if I wanted anything. She was like, oh, I brought you a 7-Up and some crackers though. You need to eat something. And I was like, why were you gone so long? You know, I didn't feel good, blah, blah, whatever. So that night I felt so terrible that I like I felt like I was gonna die. I kid you not, I thought I was going to die. I got up and I was like throwing up. I was throwing up so bad. I felt like I had a fever and I was like, I need to go to the emergency room. And if you know me, you know that I hate emergency rooms. I don't care how sick I am. I don't want to go. But this day I had to go because I really thought I was going to die. I asked her if she was going to take me. She was like, no, you know, I have work in the morning. I have to get up at 7 o'clock. I end up driving myself to the emergency room. I was so weak that on my way there, I had to throw up so many times. I kept pulling over to throw up. So I ended up getting to the emergency room and I'm waiting and I'm throwing up, and they immediately see me because they see how much I'm throwing up. They gave me a trash can and I was filling the trash can up. They ended up putting me back into a room, which there were a lot of people there. They ended up seeing me immediately because they didn't know what was going on. So I go into the back and I'm there for probably about an hour. They hadn't given me any fluids. They hadn't given me any medicine to stop my pain, to stop my nausea, to stop nothing. I'm just sitting there, just there. And at this point, I'm so hot. I only have an oversized t-shirt on and some shorts, but I'm so hot. So I end up telling them, like, I gotta go. I can't be here. Please just release me. Please just let me go. And so I just yank the catheter and the catheter or whatever it's called. I just yank it out of my arm. And they're like, ma'am, you can't do that. So I'm sitting there holding my arm and they're like, you have to sign a release form. You have to sign. I was like, okay, bring it to me. So they immediately come with my release form. And I sign it, and as I'm walking out, I get to the desk and I'm like, and I stop real quick to take a breath, and she's like, are you okay, ma'am? You don't need to leave. Get a wheelchair. And I'm like, I'm fine, I'm leaving. So I end up leaving, and from the front to the car, I sling the door open. I just lay there and I crank the car up. I turn the car on. I turn up the AC as high as it can go, as low as the temperature can go. And I'm just laying there, just like dying. I'm driving myself back to the house, but on the way there, next part, if you have a weak stomach, please skip like a minute or so. My stomach was hurting so bad because I had nothing else left to throw up, and all of a sudden I shit on myself. Like, I don't mean like regular shit. I mean like it was a number 3 all over myself. So I ended up having to get out of the car, and good thing we kept wipes and toilet paper in there because we did go on road trips and stuff. So we did keep wipes and toilet paper in the car. So I ended up taking off all of my clothes, just leaving them there. I'm throwing up and I'm shitting at the same time on the side of the road. I literally thought I was going to die because every way that something can come out of my body, it was coming out. I started peeing at the same time as me pooping, and I'm throwing up too. So it's just like, it's terrible. Wiping myself, leaving that there. I'm so sorry for whoever had to clean that up, whoever had to pick it up. I'm sorry because I know it was some shit, literally. So I get back to the house, and like I said, we stayed on the 3rd floor, and across there was a pool. So I park across facing the pool, and it was a little ways down. And so from the time that I get out of the car to the time I cross to get on the sidewalk, I get so out of breath that I just lay on the sidewalk. Probably had been about, I think it was like close to almost an hour, and some guy worked at the plants, and you know, they get up early in the morning. They get up at like 4:30 to go to work. So he was like, ma'am, are you okay? Ma'am, are you okay? And mind you, at this time I had on no underwear, no shorts, no nothing. And so he helps me get upstairs and go into the house, and I just go to the refrigerator and I get the huge gallon of water, and I chug and chug and chug that water because I'm so dehydrated. They didn't give me any meds or anything at the emergency room. So I lay on the floor right there for a little minute till I can catch my breath, kind of relax, you know, focus on my breathing. Then I go to the shower, lay in the shower. She gets up for work, doesn't ask me what's going on, doesn't ask me if I'm okay, kind of just kisses my head and leaves for work like nothing. So it was a bunch of like back and forth with that. And then we ended up arguing like a couple days later, and I had to call my friend to come take me to the emergency room. Shout out to Erica. But I had to tell her to come take me to the emergency room. You know, she was like, yeah, sure, bitch, you know, like I'm on my way or whatever. So she goes, takes me to the emergency room. She feeds me. She makes sure that I'm hydrated, takes me to the store, gets whatever I need, you know, like she's there. Then we ended up moving out of that apartment, and she got one of her coworkers because she got a truck to come help us move. We moved like the bed, we moved like some of the containers of clothes. But the next day I had to myself walk 3 flights of stairs up and down. If you know who she is, you know how many pairs of shoes she has. So her shoes plus my shoes plus more clothes, because she never wears the same thing twice. Plus all of her clothes, dishes, decor, like everything that we had in the house. It took me probably about 3 hours to move everything by myself. But I had to move like boxes, and like I moved a lot of stuff, and I moved it all on my own. So I was pissed off about that, and we kind of argued about it a little bit, but she was like, I'm at work, I'm making money, I couldn't just take off, blah, 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 whatever. But at this time, she's a manager. She really could do whatever the fuck she wanted to do. After that, we went to go stay with my sister and my niece's dad and my niece, and we got like a little 2-bedroom with them, and it was like little shit there. Like we didn't really argue as much, but like it was just little stuff. Like she didn't want to have to pay them rent. Like I would come up with excuses for paying the rent and stuff like that for her. And then like there was one instance where like her mom is such a negative person in her life, and when we broke up, I had people personally message me saying that they knew my ex personally, and that her mom was such a negative person in her life. And I'm not one to keep you away from your family at all, but when we stayed at the apartment, we came to the conclusion that we should just like cut everybody off and just focus on us, kind of duck off, make some money, you know, make some moves. I stopped talking to my family, and so she was gonna stop talking to her mom and her sisters. They were kind of toxic to her as well. Come to find out, like she was lying to me about talking to them. She would be like, no, I haven't talked to them in a couple of weeks. And I ended up seeing her mom added me on Instagram one day, and I saw that they were up at her job, and she told me that her DM came in, but really she was leaving and going around the store, around the mall shopping with her mom and her sister. So I wasn't talking to my family, like I completely cut them off, but she was still talking to hers, and she was hiding it from me. She would leave and take them to the movies, take them out. And I'm not one to keep anyone from their family or anything like that, but we mutually decided to kind of just focus on us. So that was my whole reason behind everything. I'm gonna find out she was still talking to them or whatever, and whenever I brought it up, she was like, you know, that's my mom, blah, 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 this and that. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I don't care about that, but it's the fact that you told me to stop talking to my people too, and this whole time I haven't been talking to my family, thinking we're just focused on us, and the whole time you're talking to your people. So I'm like secluded, and I'm by myself, and you know, and whole time you don't know how that feels, because you're not alone. Not only do you have me, but you have your people, you know what I mean? And mind you, her mom was very negative. When we moved in with my sister, some shoes came out, and I ended up surprising her with some. I won the raffle, so I told her I didn't win it, and she ended up getting them too, but we wear around the same size. I was like, well, I'll just keep mine, you can keep yours, whatever. She's like, okay, cool. So we took a picture together with the shoes on, and her mom like slid up and was like, you're with the bitch that's using you. I can't believe you didn't give me the shoes and you got her the shoes, and just like real disrespectful and rude. And when her mom has called me out of my name, her mom has disrespected me, and I never was disrespectful to her until I figured out like that my ex was never going to defend me when it came to her mom disrespecting me. And I'm so big on like, I would never let my family's not like this anyway, but I would never let my family disrespect someone that I'm with, because I feel like at that point, like, of course I'm going to defend them, because I would hate to be in that situation like I've been before. So, but yeah, her mom has definitely called me out of my name many and plenty, and she didn't do anything about it. Her mom has actually told her sister like stuff about she's taken her away from me, like, you know, weird ass shit. Sister told us, she was like, and I was like, Mom, that's weird. That's your daughter, not your girlfriend. It was just really, really a crazy situation. So we ended up moving out from with my sister. We moved out and we ended up staying in a car, and she wanted to hide this so bad because of the fact that I guess she was like known on social media and stuff. But I was like, dude, this is stuff that people real life go through. Like, it's okay to talk about struggles. It's okay to not, like, we're staying in a car and yet you're still buying new clothes to post pictures. And like, what the hell? Like, we would drive around to a park, and she would be taking pictures, and I'm like, we're staying in a car. Like, that does not need to be your main concern. We'd be struggling, wondering if we're gonna put gas in the car or fucking food in our stomachs. And she's like, oh, should I get these shoes? Like, what? I ended up losing my job because I was so sick, and my manager ended up replacing me while I was out. I had a note as to why that I didn't go to work, but they ended up replacing me. They didn't really fire me. They kept me on, but I was only going to be working like 3 to 4 hours a week, and I think that they knew that was going to cause me to quit. So at this time, she was like, just go ahead and quit. And we were staying at the apartment at this time. It would be like I was in the car 24 hours a day, out like clockwork. We would go to like my parents' house to shower and stuff, but we would get like hotel rooms, and my grandmother is actually the one who would pay for our hotel rooms and stuff. We had our stuff in a storage, so we would go get clothes, wear them, kind of switch them out and do that. And so it was just me and my dog, and we were going between my car and her car. Like, at night we would sleep in her car, and during the day I would sit in my car in McDonald's parking lot. I would work off of Wi-Fi because our phones got turned off. Her mom ended up turning off our phone, knowing that my ex at the time was a store manager and everything, turned our phones off, like, you know, whatever. My Nana ended up saying like, oh, we'll come get on my phone line. Y'all can just pay y'all's bill like that. I'll pay for the first, you know, month or two until y'all get back on y'all's feet, whatever. We ended up getting a new apartment, and maybe a month or two, and I saw in her phone that her ex's name was under someone else's name, and I just had a feeling of like her talking to her ex. So I typed in her ex's name in the little search bar in your messages. If you didn't know, you could do that. If you do know, then that's what I did. So I typed in her ex's name, and some girl's name popped up named Maddie, and that's not her ex's name. Yeah, and they were talking, and it was like, you miss me, and pictures and just all kinds of stuff. They were talking while we were staying in the car. Like, it was just terrible type of stuff, and I would cry and cry and cry, and it got to a point to where I just couldn't cry anymore. And she was so like, oh my God, over her social media, that I would be crying, and she'd be like, or we would be arguing about something. She'd be like, okay, well, hold on, can we get out and take a picture? And I'd be like sitting there fucking crying, taking her pictures, like, turn to the left, back up a little, like, just stupid shit. But yeah, that is a little bit of kind of what happened within the relationship. And I ended up losing like 45 pounds because of how much I was going through and stuff. And I really do think that all of that happened for a reason, because before that I was really insecure. I was comparing myself to you know, her ex. Like, not to say I'm ugly or anything, but I was comparing myself in the ways like, okay, does she like this about her? Does she like this? Like, why does she keep cheating on me with this girl? And then I would compare myself just to other people in general, or like people that she would text, and just not, like, comparison is really the thief of joy. Like, it is just not something that you should do. And yeah, I was just sad all the time. And so I lost 45 pounds, but with me losing that weight, I had never been as small as I was. So I started like taking more pictures, and I started dressing up more and doing my makeup and being more consistent on Instagram. And I started feeling myself and started falling in love with myself and giving myself the love that I, you know, begged her to give me. And at that point, it was just like, I loved that. I loved loving myself. I loved that I didn't have to wonder if she cared about me or not. And it just got to a point where, like I said, I was giving myself the love that she did not give me. Towards the end of our relationship, she started trying to be a better person, and she started trying to be a better girlfriend. But it's just like, I didn't want that. I didn't want that from her. Like, when I did want it from her, she couldn't give it to me. And so it got a point where, like, I didn't even care from her. Like, I didn't care. I wished her the best, and I wished her well. And I couldn't want it. You know, she was doing things for me, and she was taking me on these trips and stuff, but it just wasn't it for me. But yeah. So that is pretty much that. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see part 2, then hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notification button so that you can see that whenever it does drop. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I can say. I know it's like kind of everywhere, and I just tried to like skip over stuff. I know I'm missing out some stuff, but if I miss it and I think about it, I'll include it in the next video. But that's pretty much it for now, because I know this video is going to be long. So thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.